Sorry. Hi, this is Damien re AtHope, and I'm an Axiological Atheist. And I have a guest today. Could you go ahead and tell us your name and what kind of atheist you are?
My name is Zainab Ashqar. I'm a Palestinian atheist.
Okay. And
yeah.
Would you like to explain what you mean by that?
I'm a Palestinian. Well, my mom and my dad are from Palestine, and I'm just an atheist. Like, I don't believe in any gods or anything like that.
Okay.
I think our religion is stupid.
Okay. And I know you're a nihilist also. Could you explain what you mean by that?
Well, I don't think that things have value unless people put them on there.
Okay.
Like, for example, gold does not have intrinsic value. We put value on gold.
Okay.
As far as right and wrong, well, I'm a little bit more of a kind of person that thinks that there is a right and wrong, like in the sense that people should treat each other the way they want to be treated. But at the same time, I don't think that there is like a definite authority, like a set absolute.
Right. And then you classify yourself as a non-humanist. Could you explain what that means?
I mainly classified myself as that because I'm sort of a misanthrope.
Okay.
I guess because I've endured a lot of abuse from other human beings. I have a hard time connecting with them. I just didn't get into the humanist factor because I guess I just don't feel like I can connect with most humans.
Okay.
I feel alienated from them, I guess you could say.
Okay. So, were you always an atheist, or were you raised in a religion and then chose atheism for some reason?
Well, my mom and my dad, they became atheists before I was born.
Really?
Yeah, so I think they did in college, because they met and got married in college. And then me, when I was born, I was raised in their household, and I was really raised without any, like, they wouldn't tell me whether or not there was a God, but they also wouldn't say that they're, what they were. That I was raised secular.
Okay.
And then they died.
Well, they died.
And I was adopted by a Christian evangelical family. And they tried to force their religion on me.
Could you tell us when that was? What age?
I was about 9.
Oh, 9.
9 years old. I was really young. My mom and my dad, because they had raised me without religion, I was used to not going to church or anything like that. I didn't like church. I couldn't stand it. And then when they ended up giving me back to the state when I was in my teens, I went back to being secular, but the state would make me go to church.
Really? The state made you go to church?
Yes, they make you.
Did they pick their religion for you, or?
One was non-denominational, but the other one was a Methodist.
So my question was, so it had to be Christian version, or you could have gone? Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, it had to be Christian. I was not allowed to do anything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's because of where because of where you're living, or is that a general rule? I don't know.
Honestly, here in Tennessee, I have noticed that when it comes to the state, like the way that they do the kids, whether it be foster families or the group homes, I think it's pretty much all around Christian. They don't take them to a synagogue or a mosque or any of that other stuff.
Doesn't that seem wrong? Like, where's the separation of church and state?
I know, I kept saying that like a billion times when I was a kid. And I was labeled as oppositional defiant because I refused to deal with it. It was
so you refuse to have religion forced on you, and then that makes you defiant?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
They literally medicated me for this.
Oh my God! That's crazy.
Unruly oppositional defiant disorder. Yeah, and it's in my juvenile file.
Wow.
And that was all it was over. Was that and the fact that they wanted me to not express my heritage. So yeah.
What? They what? Not Did not be Palestinian?
Yeah, I was not. They labeled me as they labeled it as inappropriate.
Inappropriate?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It sounds like you could take him to court.
Yeah, I literally was. I mean, several times they would put me
oh my God.
put me on spotlight in the group homes and accuse me of witchcraft. One of the staff members literally accused me of witchcraft.
But this is what I would say. And what if your religious views were witchcraft? Well, there's nothing illegal about being a witch. That's crazy.
Yeah, I tried to say that, but, they would remind me I was the minor and they were the adults. And they had been employed by the state, and this is how they do things. We go with majority rules.
Wow, that's really crazy. I'm sorry to hear that. That's really, really some fucked up stuff.
Yeah. I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2013. This is part of the reason why.
Well, I appreciate you saying that stuff. I mean, so, how did that impact? That must have had a really impact on you. How did that impact you? Besides the PTSD, I mean, is that what made you more decide to be atheist, being forced?
Well, it made me more defiant. I would definitely, diddle in the Bibles and, kind of put fuck God and all this other stuff. I was really bad with that. In the hymn books, I would write dirty words and draw dicks. They never knew who it was that was doing it in the church. The pastor kind of on the pulpit one day and said, "Whoever is writing profanity in our hymn books, please stop." And I was trying so hard. I was just like, I can't give myself away, But later in life, after I basically got out of state's custody, I won't explain how I did, but once I got out of state's custody and I was old enough to be on my own, I kind of went back to being atheist. I was more of a secularist, didn't really ever talk about God up until my mid-20s, when I had sort of an identity crisis. And really, to be honest with you, I was just looking for friends and kind of trying to find out who I was and what my heritage was, what I was about. And I did a really crappy way of going about it and kind of adopted Islam. So
kind of did what?
I adopted Islam.
Oh, Islam, yeah.
So, yeah, there was that. That didn't last long, though. That did not last long. I'd say about 2012 is when I officially went full-on atheist.
So what was the point that made you decide that?
The atheist part or the Islam part?
The atheist part.
Well, I've been agnostic since 2008. And in that period of time, I decided to do studying, basically learning, reading what I could. But I also got kind of an interest, especially at dinner time. I would sit down and there'd always be a science documentary on. And I would just watch these. I love documentaries. And the more I watched them, the more I read, the more it kind of religion made less and less sense. I was like, oh, I understand why my parents were the way they were.
Could you say a specific point that you thought didn't make sense?
Well, there were so many facts, or how do I say it? There was so much pointing in the direction of evolution. There was so much evidence there. Whereas I was starting to say, wait, how could Eve be created from Adam? Wouldn't she be a biological clone? Ergo, a dude,
True.
And so I was asking these questions. What happened to people before Christianity came into existence? Do they all go to hell? And the more that they were showing the evidence to point towards the age
Creation.
of the world.
Yeah,
the age of the earth, it made me realize everything I had been shoved down my throat was a lie.
Yeah.
And I just decided I would do more research, just keep, and it's weird, is even after you make this decision, you're still studying.
Oh,
You're
absolutely.
still learning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a growing process. And I think that's why people take religion so much. Because they don't, as you get older, it gets harder for you to learn things and to retain them.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of were like, well, this book says that this is how it's done, so this is how it's done, and no more questions.
Yeah, no more questions, exactly.
And I'm not happy with that. I never was happy with just one thing being. It's funny, as I'm autistic, and I don't do well with change, but when it comes to knowledge and scientific theories and stuff, I'm open to it.
Cool.
I kind of cried when they, declassified Pluto as a planet. I was like, I was raised on that, but that was my trial moment right there. That was where I had to say, I have to let go of this and move on, and I did, and I didn't fight it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a good scientific mind, is the willingness to accept and adapt to new information.
Yeah, and the thing about it is this is crazy, but I'm not the rebellious type that, okay, if tomorrow there literally was undeniable proof that there was a God, I would reform my opinion. I am fine with that.
Yeah, I would reform my belief that there's a God. I would not change my willingness to not worship things.
Oh, I don't think I will worship him either. Okay, let's just say it's the Christian God that exists. Okay, he said my people are the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that, so I'm going to hell anyway. Might as well make it worth my time.
Yeah.
So that's I guess that's also another reason, is how could a God that loves people let other people abuse other people the way that my people have been done, the way the Native Americans have been done.
Yeah.
If you've got the power to stop it, then stop it.
Yeah.
But you just sit by and just...
Yeah. Yeah, if there is a God, the God doesn't care, that's for sure.
It's weird. And what actually really, really, really kind of set it in stone for me, and I know a lot of Christians would be like, oh, well, you experience loss and that's your problem. But no, not really. See, I bargained. I was like, if there is a God, please let me keep my children. I lost them anyway.
You did?
I was pregnant with twins and I lost them.
How long ago was that?
2008. June 28th, 2008.
And why did they take the children away? Do you want to tell me?
Because I refused to go along with the whole. They kind of wanted to bring me back into that whole issue with my culture and everything because I named them after my husband.
Yeah.
The Arabic way, which the Arabic way goes like this: given name, middle name, which would be the father's name.
Okay.
Then the grandfather's name, and then the family name. So, for example, I'll use my oldest, Maysoon Muzur Abdul Fattah Abu Qarsa.
Uh-huh.
Well, the state did not want me to do that.
Why?
Because I don't know. I mean, it goes back to my past. It goes back. I mean, the name I was born with, Zainab Ashqar, was changed. When I got adopted out by that family, it was changed. As a matter of fact,
your story is crazy. I don't understand. How can someone change your name? I mean,
yeah. Well, when you're adopted and you're a minor, you have no rights. That's what people don't tell you. You have no rights.
Yeah.
You are their property. Their property. And see, that's where I was saying before my defiance and everything, it came back to bite me in later on. And they brought all this stuff out. And they were like, oh, she's mentally disturbed and everything. And I went to a psychiatrist. They performed an IQ test on me. They performed a psych eval. The psych eval said the only thing that they had seen was that I had severe anxiety disorder. There was no other indications of any other mental illness. And the IQ test, I came out, I scored 158. So they, and the psychiatrist said, I don't understand how come she cannot, function in society. I suggest she go get an autism spectrum test.
Right.
And I could not get that until I went to Jordan because in this state, they don't test adults. And I was a child back when they really didn't know very much about it. But yeah, they trotted out everything that had to do, my refusal to accept their, to go by their rules, which were religious rules that I refused to obey. I would, if I did not go to church or if I tried to sneak out, I would be locked in a closet. Oh no, the state didn't bring any of this. Yes, I was beaten. I was locked in a closet. Yes, Pentecostals was what the family that took me in.
Oh yeah, I have an abuse in my past from the good Christian. So yeah.
And see, that's. I would constantly sneak out of church. I did not like it. I got bored. On top of that, this was a Pentecostal. You know how like John Hagee, they kind of were in the same line as John Hagee. They were very Zionist, supporting Israel. Mm. So that, of course, is going to be like, So I was like, I'd jump up and I'd be like, I'd tell them, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And of course, I knew what was going to happen when I got home for cussing, but I couldn't contain myself. I remember one time I brought it up about how Lot and his daughters, why would God save, two incestuous, daughters and their father? That's okay, but supposedly being homosexual is not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the thing about Lot to me is funny, too, the story. If I told you that two daughters got pregnant from their father today, you would not think, oh, the daughters are bad. You would think that the dad is molesting them. So yeah. The story is told in the wrong way to begin with. Second off, it says they both got pregnant. Well, since we do know sex doesn't get people pregnant one time, so supposedly these daughters had sex one night each, and they both got pregnant. I mean, is that a miracle? I don't think so. Right?
No.
No. So they probably had sex a lot of times. Because that would be...
They had a down-home Tennessee orgy.
Right. Right. If the story was true, then you would have to assume that biologically, to make it logical, they had to have multiple sex. So this thing about he was unaware and drunk, come on. You're supposedly believe the whole world is dead, and you get drunk and you have sex. Well, you know it's got to be with your own daughter.
You just lost your home.
Yeah.
You lost your wife. You lost your mom. The last thing I'd be thinking about is sex. Believe me. I remember when my parents died.
Right. That's why
sex was not on my mind. Food was not on my mind. I didn't eat, drink, or sleep for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Actually, they had to take me to the hospital twice because I refused to drink anything, and I got so dehydrated I had to go to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how badly I was grieving. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, the story's ridiculous. I mean, it's on all kinds of levels. It's ridiculous, and they see it as some kind of like special thing. It's the whole story is, come on, what?
Yeah, it's like, but my light went off, and then the story of David and Bathsheba. I was like, isn't David supposed to be like the big kahuna and God's favorite? But he goes and he sleeps with a married woman and then he has her husband killed.
Why is
God loving him?
And didn't he have? I can't remember exactly, but didn't he have a child? The God cursed his next child or something to die because of what he had done, or something, or something like that. I mean,
it was crazy. I mean, I'm like thinking, okay, yeah. First off, you're still, you're doing all this stuff, and you're like, well, I have favor, and blah 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 blah, and I'm going to kill all these people, and I'm just going to massacre everybody, and I'm like thinking, seriously, what loving God would allow that? That's not cool, man. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Just like in the story of the Exodus, supposedly, that didn't ever happen, but supposedly the Exodus, where God supposedly hardens the Pharaoh's heart. Remember? Because before the Passover, he basically removes the Pharaoh's will. So supposedly God gives you free will, but in that instance, he made it so the Pharaoh could not choose to do it. That's what the story says. So he removes God's will, but he does it for what purpose? To kill babies.
Yeah.
He removes the Pharaoh's will so that he can kill children. This is a good story? This is the Jews celebrate this? Come on, this is like horrific.
Yeah, I know. And it's crazy. It's like oh crap, I forgot what I was going to say, man. And it was good too, because it was like, oh yeah, speaking of Exodus, on top of that, the whole story with Isaac and Ishmael.
Yeah.
I mean, and Sarah is Abraham's relative somehow, actually. So their incestuous child was more valuable than the child that he basically had conceived out of rape.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing.
So we're the rape baby. My people are descended from the rape baby, according to the Bible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're the devil's people. So, we're all God's supposedly gonna come down here and kill all of us. All but, I think, like 1/3 or 1/4 or something. So, yeah, it's gonna be like all a bunch of dead, stinking Arabs and stuff. I'm like, genocidal son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, to me, a lot of the holy books, they claim to be so special and pure, and really, they're horrific texts. They're bigotry, they're hatred, they're not pure.
Yeah, and that's my base of knowledge actually really only extends to the Bible. I didn't read the Quran, but my husband, who has just now started to do his research and has newly declared his atheism.
Oh, but he was from Islam, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, I know that, but other people don't know.
Yeah, he, of course, I won't say his name because
that's fine.
He's in a country right now where he could be killed for this. But he does know. And he came to me one day and he said, we were on the phone and he was saying, listen, he was like, I need to talk to you about something. I was like, okay, go ahead. And so he talked to me about, the Quran and all this stuff. And he said, I hate to have to say this, but reading these hadiths and everything, I'm starting to really realize that what Daesh, what you guys in English call ISIS, but I won't call them that. Daesh is the correct term. It's the Arabic term, and they hate it for some reason. They hate it. So he was like, the teachings of Daesh and their followings are actually very close to the Quran.
Yes.
There's some deviations, especially in some of the members really don't know two shits of where to pray, what direction they'll be, out in one direction when they should be the other way. But for the most part, yes, it is very in line with the teachings. And most Muslims don't even know this. My husband grew up thinking that it was all the good stuff that he had heard. The good Muslims that you see, they are completely unaware of this shit.
Right.
Really, they are. They are completely unaware of the dark side. But once they start studying and learning, they're like, oh my God, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And they're quick to distance themselves from it.
Well, yeah, that's what I said even about the Bible. I think both of and Judaism, all the Abrahamic religions, if you practice them correctly according to the book, and don't try to translate it too much or try to make nice, really all of them should be fundamentalists, all of them, which is scary. I mean, it's not a good thing. The more that you know, really, the more you should be fundamentalist. I mean, it's hard to say a fundamentalist is doing it wrong, since when you actually read it, those books are pretty bad.
Yeah, and see, that's I think that's why my husband was like, wait, I can't beat my wife. Because it does say
Yes, it does.
In the book.
Yes.
He was like, I can't beat my wife. I love her. And he even told me this to my face. He was like, I can't beat you, Zainab. I love you. And I was like, well, that's sweet. So rather than obey his God, he renounced him.
Yeah. That's good.
So, yeah, it is. But see, there's a lot of Palestinians, actually. He has a friend of his who is also has gotten to the point to where I've gotten, actually. And they discuss these things together. So he has a support system in me, has a support system in this friend of his.
Cool.
Other than that, though, he doesn't have any resources. And that's why one reason I'm trying to get to reunify with him here in the States, so we can safely access these resources and learn more. Whereas he can't do that there.
Right.
Because it is very dangerous, actually. There's not a law on the books against apostasy in Jordan, but what could happen to him socially with his family? They would throw him out. He would have no place to go. He would be shunned by he would probably even lose his job. So this stuff, it's very important that, even though there's no law, the cultural repercussions are...
But isn't there a law, though, in the Quran that apostasy needs to be killed?
Yeah, there is.
Because I know even unbelievers, even ones that are not apostates, but just unbelievers in general... I was talking at the college to this Muslim last week, and he said, "Oh, the Quran teaches peace." And I said, "Well, there's some verses in the Quran that do speak of peace, but to deny that it also speaks about killing people would be to be a liar." And I go, "Here's the verse. The Quran 2:191, and it clearly states that you are to kill the non-believer, and you're doing them a favor because it's better for them to be dead than to be an unbeliever. And he goes, and he told me, "Oh, I don't believe that translation."
It doesn't matter; it's still there.
Yeah, I don't believe the translation. I was like,
they cherry pick, and see, that was my husband's issue. He had been fed a cherry pick version of the Quran, and it wasn't really his fault. See, most of the Muslims that I know personally, they are in a fog. They have a fog, and this is why I do my best to approach them with kindness. They are in a fog about this, and so I do come to them and I say, listen, once you research, once you study, you will be finding a lot of ugly, and at that point it is up to you whether you want to obey it or not. And that, I discovered this when I saw my husband's new evolution, I guess you could say.
yeah.
I actually kind of feel sorry for them now. I do, I really do.
Oh, I feel sorry for religious people. That's why I dislike religion totally. I hate it. I think it's like vomit. But I do like people. I believe that the people, most of them are suffering. Most of them are not really bad people. They've just been indoctrinated. They don't know any better, and those books are terrible.
Yeah, it does, and it's all because they start young.
Oh yes,
they start very young. They start from infancy all the way up till adulthood, and it's very aggressive with the children. Very
right, just like what happened to you with the state. Yeah, that households. My mom was like that. You had no choice. You will go to church.
Exactly.
It's not an option.
Yeah, and see, I actually am watching many of people that I know, acquaintances, neighbors, etc. They're really drilling it into their kids' heads, and and a lot of these people I'm friends with, I'm looking at them and saying, to myself, you are fucking insane.
Yeah.
Why the hell would you do this to your child? But I can't say anything because it's not my kid. It's not my family. I don't have any control over it, which just angers me even more.
Do they know that you're atheist?
Yes, they do, and they actually don't like it. I have been attacked.
Oh, really? You've been attacked?
Yes. Yes, actually, I had someone try to physically assault me a few weeks ago over this. But I let them know very quickly if they put their hands on me.
What religion were they? Were they Christians? I would imagine Tennessee, right?
Yeah, they were Christian.
Yeah.
But funny, never mind. I do drugs, I drink, I covet, and I'm thinking to myself, isn't there a verse in the Bible says, "Judge not, lest you be judged"?
Yes, there is.
You want to hit me for being an atheist, but and you're sitting over here fornicating. You got a baby out of wedlock. Now I personally don't mind premarital sex, extramarital sex. Now I have an issue with that. If you take a vow, then unless you're open.
Yeah. Well, my relationship is open. I have an open marriage, but my wife knows it's ethical non-monogamy. I mean, exactly. It's not like it's cheating or something. So
yeah. I mean, the point is to be honest.
Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem. People do what they have to do, but if you're following a book that says don't do that,
yeah, exactly,
you shouldn't be doing that.
Especially if they're going to threaten you over it.
Yeah, it's crazy. She's like, oh, but I can do whatever I want because I'm a believer.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, and that's another thing. I have trouble committing.
Trouble doing what?
Committing.
Oh, committing.
Which is why I have problems with religion, because I do have a problem. By the way, I know that you probably noticed that cross in my background. I just now noticed it. That is a Gothic cross. That is not a religious symbol.
Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't going to judge you.
Okay, well, my one of my foster parents' relatives gave it to me, and I painted it to make it look gothic.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the way I wanted to hang it, there's not a hanger on that end.
Yeah.
I wanted to hang it upside down.
Yeah.
But I can't do that because there's no hanger on it.
That would be even cooler.
Yeah, I really want to. I'm trying to figure out how I can do it without cracking it or anything because it is ceramic.
Oh.
But yeah, so...
You could probably super glue something on it.
Huh?
You could probably super glue.
I might try that. I might actually try that.
Because I think that would probably work.
Hopefully it won't fall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a little hanger piece to it, and I'll try that super glue. Thank you. As I was saying before, that's why I had trouble with religion, because it had all these rules and restrictions, and I was like, there's no way I can realistically do this.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't pray 5 times a day. I sit there and I looked and I was like, it says pray 5 times a day. Okay, Fajr prayer, for example, is in the morning, early morning, 5 o'clock. Okay, 5 o'clock. I can't do 5 o'clock. I can barely even do 10 o'clock. And so, yeah, there was that. And then on top of that, Ramadan. I actually did a whole month of Ramadan, and I had to go to the hospital.
Can you explain what that is for people that don't know?
Ramadan is it's a month where you fast, you abstain from everything: food, drink, sex, smoking, or vaping, any kind of indulgences that you could enjoy from dawn till dusk. At night, you can do whatever you want. But during the daytime, during the daylight hours when the sun is out, you can't do anything. So a lot of people actually in the Middle East, they compensate for that by staying up later at night and waking up later in the day, which works for them. But see, for me, because I have a bad digestive system, I was unable to go without, because I can't just stay. It's not that I eat a lot. It's that when I get hungry, I need to eat something, nibble on something. The drinking was the problem. I have to have fluids. I have to keep drinking because I get dehydrated easy. Yeah. And that was a big problem for me. And like 2 years ago when I was in Jordan, I actually was there during Ramadan. And it's pretty cool to watch the people out there because it's usually hopping at night. Yeah. The nightlife is much better during Ramadan, but during the day, it's hell. Because you're looking at 104, 105 degree temperatures, dry heat. You get out of the shower, you walk from the bathroom to the bedroom, buck naked, you're dry. That's how hot and dry it is there.
Wow.
Without water, no, nobody can do that. And I keeled over several times from dehydration. It got so bad that my husband actually decided, he was like, I understand what your problem is. Just sleep longer. He would actually, give me things to sleep during the day, but it wouldn't work because I'm always active. So I went behind his back and got shit to drink, shit to eat. Yeah, I sent him out on some imaginary errand. Yeah. Had him go pick something up that I raided the fridge. It was epic, man, epic. I got caught once, though. My husband was freaking out. And this is before he knew I had become atheist. This is...
So how did he take that, speaking of it, how did he take you becoming an atheist?
He said, you have to do what you have to do, honey. Just study and learn. I'll support you.
Oh, that's cool.
He was incredibly supportive. I was shocked. And I was actually very impressed I guess that means, he really does care. Because otherwise, he would have been like, oh, I don't love you anymore, bye. Because if I was to become murtad, which is apostate, Islamically speaking, he should have left me, but he didn't. He didn't leave me, and my head is still very much attached. So, he loves me, and and that's the thing about it. That's when I realized, what, maybe he really does love me more than he does his God. And then just maybe a year later, well, bing, bang, boom, he becomes one too. Yeah, it's crazy, it's, people are waking up in the Middle East. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I support Israel because it's secular. Well, it's not, it's theocracy. They're like, well, Palestine, we don't want Palestine to become liberated because we're afraid it's going to be a theocracy. First off, I actually...
You had what?
People of Palestine, the reason... I said I have to explain.
Oh.
The people of Palestine are so religious right now because they're facing hardship. It's not because they're, deluded or anything. They're facing hardship. And when people are poor and they're facing a hard time, a lot of them do tend to turn to religion. A false hope, a false comfort. A way of trying to maintain sanity in an insane world. But they're not taking into account the fact that in Palestine, we have one of the largest atheist populations in the Middle East. So, yeah, we have, but we're all undercover. Now, since I'm in the United States, I can be free about mine, but I have friends and relatives over in Palestine. I can't.
And because if they did, would they be threatened with their life or what?
Probably not, but they would definitely have their life taken away from them in other ways. They wouldn't be able to find a job. Their family would probably disown them. At the end of the day, they probably would be wishing they were dead. I've never really ever heard of anyone being killed in Palestine for it. Saudi Arabia, now they're about to kill one of ours. They're about to execute one of ours because he's an atheist. And I can't remember exactly what they said his crime was. I know it was apostasy, but I can't remember what he did to get on their radar. But he's a poet. He's Palestinian living in Saudi Arabia. And he did something to draw their ire, and they decided they were going to arrest him, and they sentenced him to execution.
Yeah, I know that. I know Saudi Arabia has killed more people than ISIS have in this last year. Cut more people's heads off. Or I should say executed more people, but cutting their head off.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay because they're the ally of the U.S. They have oil.
They should not be an ally. I think that they're a terrorist state. I mean, they're killing people. They subjugate women. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, my husband was telling me that last time he was in Saudi Arabia, he was with a friend of his who is a socialist, and he had to make sure that his friend did not get found out that he was a socialist. Because if you're a socialist or a communist in Saudi Arabia, you can be killed for that.
Yeah, that would be one more thing I'd be killed for. I'm an anarchist and a socialist, so and an atheist and anti-religionist. Yeah, they would hate me.
Same here. I've actually been, my life is actually on, I do have a death threat against me by Daesh. I was told if I ever entered any Daesh-controlled territory that it was KOS, kill on sight. And I've actually had people email pictures of me photoshopped with my head off.
Wow.
and saying, you are, you're marked.
How does
And
that make you feel?
Good.
Makes you feel good?
I'm like, come on, bring it if you think you can. I'm like, bring it, honey, bring it if you think you can. I'll give you my address, you can show up. I mean, there's 3 katanas that, might not exactly, agree with what you want to do to me, and I can whip them out, but no, I'm not. See, that's the thing. I don't know if it's because I'm autistic and I just don't have any concept of danger, but, yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of that stuff. It's like if my husband, it's a very big possibility that I'll be going to Jordan in January. If my husband was to call me and say, listen, I'm going to buy you a ticket, book your flight, you're coming to Jordan. You know what? I would be like, okay, fine. And if Daesh was to take over the next day, I'd be like, okay, bring it, motherfucker. Come on. You think you can? I mean, you would have to, you'd have to lock me up there because I'm that kind of person. I'm like, you're not going to sit here and treat me differently because I don't agree with you. I mean, I have a right to live just as much as you have a right to live. Why deny me that right to live just because I'm a little bit more enlightened than you?
Yeah, well, I doubt they would see it that way.
Oh, I know they wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, I used to get on Twitter, the Twitter accounts that Daesh, they would have. And I post shit like, I post a picture of me, just wearing, a tank top or something like that. I'd be like, ooh, I'm uncovered. Come get me. Because, I don't know. I naturally, I like to troll people like that. So, and then, of course, I used to do it on Facebook, too, until I got my account suspended. Let's see here. I've had it suspended about, 20 some odd times for doing this crap. Yeah, I've been but that's not even the worst of it. I've been through 8 accounts doing this crap.
Yeah, I had my last time I only had an account suspended a couple times, like maybe 3 or 4 times the whole time I've had it. But the last time was I shared a thing where I can't remember now. I think it was ISIS killed someone, like murdered them in the video, and they blocked me because someone turned it in. I was like,
oh yeah. Now one of my friends actually, I remember the first. This is before Daesh got really well known. Before it really hit the news. This is when they were first starting out, kind of started to, kind of absorb all the other Al Qaeda groups into their fray. This before they hit Iraq.
Right.
This was in Syria. They took a man who was a soldier, a Syrian soldier, but I think he was reserve or something. He wasn't active duty. They took him out, and they literally sawed his head off. And I watched this. This was on Live Leak. And I'm telling you, I could not sleep for days. I just had that image burned into my head. And it's when I realized at that point in time, I've got to stand up and do something about this. These are my people being killed, man.
yeah.
It's... And the thing about it is they release the name of the guy. He turns out he's Muslim. But he's the wrong kind of Muslim.
Right, he was a Shiite, right? And they're Sunni?
He was a Sunni, but he was more of a... how do I say this? He was more of a secularized Sunni. See,
how ridiculous.
It's the same. It doesn't really matter. It has to be their exact brand of Islam. It can't be any other. It has to be theirs.
Yeah, sounds like religion. You're not exactly like me, then you're no good.
Yeah, and I know that feeling right there. I know that feeling firsthand, and I hate it. They think, oh, well, ostracizing me is going to make me want to come to your religion. I don't know what warped individual thought of that, but that actually proves my point about religion. you know.
And
It's
so,
like, I go,
and your point about religion, you told me before, was that you believe it should be outlawed, right?
I really do. I do because now I don't think that, I think pastors should be put in jail, honestly. Because they're inciting hatred and bigotry. Of course, that might do more harm than good. But if we can't do that, then I propose taxing the churches.
Oh,
Tax
definitely.
the shit out of them.
Yeah, we should be taxing them.
Because first off, if we tax the churches, we could have money for health care for every American. We could have money for a standard income. You know, like a baseline income
I know
for
what you mean.
everybody. And that is something that is needed. Especially, and not only that, but we can literally house the homeless, which they claim to want to be doing, but they're not doing.
No.
I could go downtown over here under the bridge, and I could count all the lost souls that, and they'll sit and they'll talk about how God's been good, and I'm like, God hasn't been good to you.
No. Yeah, it's sad about homeless. This Saturday, I'm going to do a talk about homelessness, about fighting homelessness.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I don't even feel that homelessness is the right word. It's like us putting a label on them. To me, they're abandoned people, is what they are. They're basically society has abandoned them.
Exactly.
Because I think it's instead of it being their issue, I think it's ours. It's just like you were saying about how children are treated, in adoption. It's the society's failing, not the children.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then they want to, put us all on trial. Those of us who have fallen through the cracks. I'm very thankful, to have a roof over my head, but I know people who don't.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for them. I wish I could give them a home.
Yeah.
I really do. If I was president, believe me, there would be, the churches would hate my guts. Let me tell you, they would hate my guts because I would tax the piss out of them.
Yeah.
I would, and not only that, but I end all the wars, bring people home, bring all the people home and say, look, first off, I'd take care of this country. After that, I would send some of the countries that have been destroyed by the states, I would send them a little bit of money to rebuild. But I would not send any kind of security, no military, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I'd close almost all the bases on the world. I would not leave a single military base abroad open. Only place we need bases is here, in this country.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it.
Going back to the first issue about the religions, I personally would never outlaw the thought of another person. Being an anarchist, I think people own themselves. They have the right to have wacky, ridiculous ideas. Now, what I don't think they have the right to do is bring those wacky, crazy ideas into the public sphere. In other words, I don't think they should be in government. They shouldn't be teaching in school. Like you said, they shouldn't be affecting adoptions or group homes. That should have no basis at all. What they they always say, well, I believe. Well, good. Then that's your personal belief, not one you get to make everybody else be forced to be under. So as long as they did that wouldn't have a problem. And I think that a parent has the right to tell their beliefs, whatever they are, to a child. What I don't think they should be able to do is force them, especially under oppression, like happened to you. Certainly has happened to me. That it's oppressed. It's not, hey, would you like to believe this? This is what I believe, and if they can choose, I'm fine with that. But when you can't choose, and when they're forced, then I think it's abuse. Not the teaching, the forcing.
Exactly.
To me, at least.
Exactly. I mean, I honestly think that people should be required to wait. I mean, if we're required to wait till we're 16 to drive,
yeah,
why not wait till we're 16 to have religion?
I can support that. Or 18, adult. You make an adult decision.
Yeah. I can't have this if I'm under 18, what's the difference? I mean, alcohol you can't have it when you're 21.
I know.
And religion,
I agree.
It's an addictive substance. It's an opiate.
Well, and then
Karl Marx said, it's the opiate of the masses.
Yeah. Well, and they give it to children. They're like 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. These kids, they're already praying and feeling guilty and shit. They don't even know anything.
Yeah, exactly.
How could they make a choice? It's like telling them to pick a political party. Tell a 3-year-old,
Exactly.
you have to pick a political party.
It's an awfully big responsibility for a small child to have, but unfortunately, that's how they get them.
Oh, I agree. And like you said, I think the problem is too, I don't think the parent owns the child. I think the child is a citizen to me. They have self-ownership to a point. You're to be there to take care of them. You don't own them, to me.
Exactly. Because when you start thinking in terms of ownership and whatnot, or things like that, that's when the child, it kind of crosses into slavery in my eyes.
Well, and some children are treated. I was treated like a slave. I was made to rub my dad's back and to do cleaning around the house and all this stuff that he'd have to do. I did the cooking, stuff. I shouldn't have had to do all that. It's ridiculous.
I had to take care of my drunk foster grandfather. He literally drunk all the time. I mean, he pissed his pants, shit his pants. I had to walk into the bathtub and clean him and wash him, and dirty old man balls, And I was like 12 years old. And
wow, that's harsh.
And they were like, because they were embarrassed of him. They were ashamed of him. They were ashamed that he was, a drunk the way he was. But they weren't willing to put him in rehab. So they just sent the kid to, they were like, what, we want her out of our hair. We'll just send her to his house.
Right.
Oh, never mind that he may touch me inappropriately or something. Thank goodness that never happened. But I did have a close call with him one time when he got up on top of the roof and with a rifle and started taking pot shots at me. And I had to go to the neighbor's house to get away because he was trying to shoot me with a rifle. He'd shoot it, reload it, shoot it again, and here I was literally dancing for my life.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say that was probably the most close call I ever had right there.
That sounds pretty traumatic. So, how has your experience been in the atheist movement? I mean, or the atheist community? I mean, how have you been treated? Have you been treated, do you think, differently as a woman or as a Palestinian? Or do you, what is your thoughts?
It's mixed, actually. There's a lot of positive people, open-minded people who are like, maybe those Palestinians, they got a point. Because I guess it appeals to the humanist in them. And there's others who are Zionist who are like, well, Israel is a bastion of human rights and equal rights and all this other stuff like this. And you're just nothing but a bunch of terrorists. And so I've been accused of everything from practicing taqiya, or however the hell you say it, taquito, I don't know. Chalupa, I have no idea what that word is, but it's where they say that Muslims can lie about their religion to deceive people.
I've never heard of that, but I'm not super informed about everything Muslim.
They would accuse me of either that, or they would say, oh, you're just stupid and idiotic and ill-informed, and downright just call me a terrorist. Never mind, they would just ignore the religion part, ignore the atheism part, and just call me a terrorist. And then, of course, there's other people who are like, hey, these guys got a point. I don't like Israel. It's a theocracy. And those are the ones that I appreciate because they see through the veil. They see through, the Hasbara. And they see that, Israel is very much a theocracy. They have they have a separate set of rules for Orthodox Jews than they do, the regular citizens.
Well, I know women are not allowed to when the Orthodox are there to go to the prayer wall. I mean, it's not that I think that anyone should pray to a stupid wall. I mean, who even cares? But
it's like who's that guy that said Judaism is mumbling to the wall and Christianity's mumbling to the ceiling and Islam is mumbling to the floor.
Never heard that. That's funny.
Yeah, I forget who said that, but I cracked up laughing at that one. I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting. Even if some people in Palestine were terrorists, I don't see how that makes you a terrorist. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's crazy, is that and I think a lot of it has to do with the negative connotations that have been placed on Arabs in general in the West.
Because of the Abrahamic religions, right?
I do. I think a lot of it has to do with that, and a lot of it has to also do with age-old European Arab kind of hostilities towards one another. You had two.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so there's that issue, and at the same time, the media here in the States is very biased against Arabs. So I think a lot in the atheist community in the West, they have a hard time seeing through that. Mm-hmm. And they just need the education, somebody to come out and say, hey, look, here we are, talk with us, dialogue, ask us questions, get to know us. You'll find out that we're not all that much different. I believe that a person could be an atheist and still be proud of their heritage.
Yeah.
And that's how come I'm a Palestinian political activist for Palestinian independence. And I'm an atheist. I don't need religion to tell me this and that.
Yeah.
I feel like, this is the funny thing, a lot of people don't know this about Palestinian politics. But up until the late 80s, when Hamas came onto the scene, prior to that, all Palestinian resistance organizations were secular. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
You had Muslims, you had Christians, you had atheists, agnostics. They were all in the groups. None of it was motivated by religion. All of it was motivated by a desire for independence and self-determination.
So I see Hamas as being involved in terrorist acts. Just like I would say that I think that some parts of what Israel does is terrorist acts. I don't think that, to me personally, I'm not pro-Israel or anti-Israel. I think that I'm not pro-Palestine or anti-Palestine. I think that both have done terrorist acts to each other. So I don't think that there's like an innocent person. I do think that the issue is too much blown up. In other words, for me personally, if it wasn't for religion caring about Jerusalem, I don't think anyone would make as big of an issue about the things as they do. Both sides, and I do agree, the problem with the West is a religious issue to me. The reason they care about Israel is not really because they care about Israel, it's because they care about the Bible. So if there wasn't a Bible, we wouldn't be caring as much about it. So I think the issue in general, like you said, it is a religious issue. And then Hamas, I think, comes in and makes it more of a religious issue. And so I think I agree that I personally think there's a difference between Zionism and Israel being a country or Israeli people, because I think Zionism is the belief that they can take over the whole area. So I think it's like almost like the Americans manifest destiny with the Native Americans. We have a right to this land. We're taking it all because God gave this all land to us. I'm against that mentality. That's a wrong mentality. And
it's the organization that I belong to. Actually, I won't state it on. Well, it's a secular organization, It is listed as a foreign terrorist organization in the United States, but that's because it's in disagreement with the politics. It refuses to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. That's how come they are on that list. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, they're Marxist, they're secular. A lot of the leadership are actually atheists. George Habash, the founder, was an atheist. He, after his family was forced out of their homeland, he was like, what God would allow this to happen? And he renounced his faith.
Yeah.
He was born a Palestinian Christian, though. But they're actually in kind of against Hamas in a lot of ways, that we butt heads with Hamas because Hamas wants to impose a Sharia law state.
Well, what Hamas, wasn't it even Hamas against the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization?
Yes, and the PFLP is actually the second largest group in the PLO. The PLO is a big group consisting of smaller groups.
So
you had Fatah, you had the PFLP, and others.
So would you be okay with a two-state solution, or do you believe that all of Israel is Palestinian land? Just wondering.
I'm not okay with two states for one reason. Because, one, that would be to recognize Zionism in any form. Two, that would deny the diaspora, which is our refugees, the right of return. And there are a lot of us who were located in the 48 territories. My family, for example, we were in the Tulkarm Governorate, which was a large area. It actually covers both 48 and 67 territories. So we were from 48 and 67 as well, because we ended up in a refugee camp in the West Bank. But what I do propose is the thing that the PFLP proposes: one state, two peoples, coexistence, and it has to be secular, democratic, and, no more fighting, no more apartheid, no more recognizing this as a Jewish majority or any kind of demographic, and full right of return for Palestinian refugees. And I don't think that's too hard. That's not too hard of a goal. I feel like that, coexistence is the only way that either of us are going to survive.
Yeah.
Be they Jewish, be they Arab, we're both Semitic. That's the thing. We're both Semitic. We're both from the same race. It's just that one of us speaks one language and another of us speaks another language. And then
did you know that a lot of the Jews are actually connected DNA-wise to the Kurds? Did you know that?
I had heard that, and I feel like maybe, and see, DNA-wise, we actually have Hebrew blood. Mm-hmm. It has been proven.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know that, yeah.
Yeah, we have Hebrew and Canaanite blood. We're kind of a mixed bag of Semiticness, I guess you could say. But we are indigenous to that region. And that is, I think that's how come that I look at when Zionists say Palestinians never existed. Just because we didn't call ourselves Palestinians, so many years ago, does not mean we don't have a connection to the land. What we called ourselves back in 1922 is irrelevant. The region was named Palestine. The mandate was named Palestine.
Yeah.
But what it does not take away from our connection and our DNA. Names can change, but DNA never does. And that's what I try to get people to see, especially in the Middle East. I'm like saying, listen, this isn't about religion. This is a land conflict, kind of a ethnic conflict. wrapped in religion.
Yeah, but I think if they took the religion out, I think it would be a lot easier. Because I think the religion is a big deal. Why it's not.
Because there would be no reason to fight other than it would be pure out racism.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have some elements that would be like, oh, well, I don't like this guy because he's a dirty Arab.
Mm-hmm.
And, or, oh, well, that's a stupid Jew or something like that.
Yeah. Well, there definitely is racism over there.
Oh boy, is there.
On both sides, there definitely is racism. I know that.
There is. I've seen much more on the Israeli side. I was actually called excuse me for saying this, sand nigger by an Israeli soldier at the Allenby Bridge when I went to try to cross in 2 years ago. And I was called a sand nigger. And I was so angry at that, well, I kind of really messed things up for myself. I threw a bottle at him. But, yeah, because, I'm still I get aggressive with racial slurs.
Yeah.
I just want to punch people over that. So, yeah, I do have an issue there. I do feel like if religion was removed, the only thing there would be racism, and that, I feel like, would have to be, at this point, we just need to force ourselves on each other. Mm-hmm. Just kind of, just say, hey, look, you know what? I'm an Arab. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. This is where I came from. You're Jewish. You're not going anywhere. Let's just live next to each other. It's not that bad. I mean, I wouldn't mind having Jewish neighbors. I mean, if everybody in this building was Jewish, I would not have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, because at least they would keep to themselves and not try to force their religion on me. I mean...
Yeah, like Christians.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Islam. Muslims definitely force it too.
They do, but in the States, we're lucky enough not to have that.
Yet.
Yes.
Yet. I just went to a college here in Seattle Central, and they had a Muslim protest.
Oh.
And
wow.
Yeah. And they were saying justice for Hamas, and they were saying that Muslim lives matter, and what else they say?
Well, of course they matter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I get that part. They matter, but Hamas? No.
Well, that's what I said to my friend that was with me. I said, I can respect saying that they have rights. They had said fuck the cops too. Oh, I'm fine with that, because I believe that we should be able to say that. Yeah. It was the supporting of Hamas that to me is an issue. Why bring that in? Just say that Muslim lives matter. That would be fine. Say fuck the cops. Great. Yeah. But to bring that in, why do that? I mean,
I don't get that, and I'm just wondering. Maybe it was a convert that did that, because
there was about 6 of them or 7 of them that had signs said big ones that said about Hamas. Oh yeah.
That just seems weird, because I mean, even with pretty much the only Islamic group that I support, that I actually like, is Hezbollah.
Yeah. And
because they really are actively fighting Daesh. They are fighting ISIS, whatever you want to call them. They are fighting them. They are whipping the shit out of ISIS, and whoever whips the shit out of ISIS is good by me. And so, yeah. But Hamas, oh no. Hamas went to Syria and fought alongside ISIS. Ironically, ISIS wants to destroy Hamas, but
really?
That's beside the point. Yeah, it's crazy. But they went and they fought alongside ISIS, and at the detriment of the Palestinian people. This has ruined our reputation in the region. And it's made us being seen as fanatics. So no, fuck Hamas. Fuck Hamas. But Hamas needs to go.
But I'm just saying. So I think that it's coming, because there's more ability to have more people here, especially a lot of them here are from African countries, that are Islam from Somalia or wherever. I don't know exactly, but which that doesn't bother me either. But them supporting, like I said, that kind of stuff is unproductive. I mean,
it is.
Support rights.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But I'm saying so. But I know you're right. The Christian still has a way stronger hold on America.
Oh yeah. They're the ones knocking on my door at 7:00 Saturday morning. Have you heard the news of Jesus Christ? And I'm like, I'm trying to sleep, you idiots. And I'm like, interrupting my sleep. And I lay back down. I can't go back to sleep. And I'm like, oh, my day is all fucked up because weekend is when I sleep in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, until Muslims start doing that crap, I'm not going to worry too much about them at this point. Because, I mean, I have some quarrels with my local Muslim community because of issues. They see me as too political. They see me as too mouthy. Back when I was a Muslim, they saw me wearing makeup, nail polish. I'm not wearing any right now, but I would go in and they would call me a whore. Oh, you're either ignorant or you're a whore. And frankly, a lot of them were converts, non-Arabic converts who had married Arabic men. These Arabic men would, try to make a pass at me. And I didn't find that so much out of the non-Arabic men. I guess because I'm Arabic myself. And they would try to make a pass at me, and their wives would get defensive. And I would have to explain to them, hey, look, Arabs are going to be drawn to other Arabs. That's just the facts. It's not my fault. Why are you putting the blame on me? Your husband is the one who made the pass.
Yeah.
It's not like I walked up to them and said, hey, baby, you want to go for a ride? No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me at all. It was them. They would come up and they would, be like, why don't we talk?
Yeah.
You're Arab, I'm Arab. And they would try to get at me through the Arabness because they saw me as looking for an identity. And I make better friends with men than I do with women. And that's a big fat no-no in the Muslim community. Big fat no-no.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk to them, right?
Exactly. Yeah, unless it's vital, like you have a problem, like you're stranded or something, you need help, then you can talk to a man. But shooting the shit, talking politics, no. See, I was that kid that was in there, smoking the hookah, chit-chatting politics with the men, and hell, I was beating them in their own debates. Okay.
Yeah.
I was beating the shit out of them. I was smoking hookah like a boss. And these women, they saw this and they were like, you are going out of your role. I'm like, role? You trying to pigeonhole me? And that's when I decided, hey, you know what, this Islam thing, me and that we ain't gonna get along. Is you trying to cram me into a corner? No. And that's the thing, since I've become atheist, I'm free.
Yes. And speaking of that, so is there any thing that you're thinking about doing involved in the atheist community, like coming out and is there some kind of a thing you could do with the Palestinian and atheists or Arab atheists? Are you involved in that or thinking about it?
I'm thinking about it. As it stands right now, I really haven't seen very many Arab atheists active. I do not know why. I assume maybe because in the Middle East, where the majority of them would be, they can't. They're kind of constrained by, they don't really want to lose their lives.
Yeah.
And, but here in the States, we need that.
So I'm saying,
I'd love to just, kind of gather us all together and say, look, we're a community too.
Yeah. So have you thought about starting a group or something like that, like a web page?
Actually,
because you could probably start a web page and just tell people.
I could. I had been thinking about it. I would really like to do that in in joint with someone else to help coordinate, because I'm not very good at public relations. I'm really bad at it. I have crappy social skills.
So, but you could call it, because I know they have ex-Muslims, but you could just call it Arab atheists or something like that, or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
yeah, and I mean, if there is already such a group, it needs to be rejuvenated, because I haven't seen anything. And
or you can do a web page, because sometimes people are more comfortable with that than groups, because groups sometimes you have to actually talk, where web pages you can just like things.
There is one Arab atheist forum that I have seen on the internet. Mm-hmm. I think it's based in the Middle East. I think it was based in Syria, actually. But it's all in Arabic. Mm. And my problem is I actually speak Arabic as a second language, and I don't read so well.
Right. I'm sure there's got to be people in America that would join that.
I would hope so, but a lot of them, of course, some of them do speak Arabic. But at the same time, I feel like it's not maintained the way it should be. It's not as active.
Yeah.
My only thing, I want to create a physical group. I really do. You know, like a get-together. We have...
Yeah, meet up.
Meet up.
Yeah, like I have.
Yeah, and see... That's the thing. I have to be in a larger city to do that. And me and my husband are actually planning on moving to Dallas.
Yeah.
This might be something that I could do once we go there.
Oh yeah, so, Dallas has atheist groups, definitely. But you're but you're in Knoxville, right? I think Knoxville might have an atheist group. It's probably not very big though.
I see one. I have not seen one.
Well, I can look for you, because I know how to look at for meetup stuff.
Really? Because that would be awesome.
Yeah, there probably is. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing it, but there probably is. I bet it's not very big if there is one, but I wouldn't be surprised that there is one. So.
Oh well, yeah, because this is Knoxville, and there's not very much here except for tumbleweeds.
Yeah, no, I've been in Knoxville. I was a truck driver, so I've been there many times.
Wow. Oh yeah. We got plenty of truck stops.
Yeah.
Churches, graveyards.
Yeah.
And we're bad for churches. We got a new one coming up just down the block over here. I'm like, you know what? We could
be a hospital.
That space for something.
Yeah. I think for the homeless.
Enough of that. Yeah. So it's this is a big Christian city, and a lot of people they have trouble, I guess, trying to find a common bond. We're so spread out.
Yeah.
And I've only met 2 or 3, and I haven't met them personally. I've only met them online. And that's really sad, because I would love to have some people to hang out with.
Well, I hope that works out for you, and I'm going to end it now. But okay. I will look for it and send you a thing if I find it. If not, I mean, then not. But
okay, that sounds great. Sounds terrific.
But it's been good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
All right. Okay, everybody. All right. Goodbye.